Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. It's the caller, your host this evening. I am happy and honoured to be here on what is a momentous day for the football club because it looks like Antonio Conte could be signing a contract very shortly and announced tomorrow. We're all really excited. Look at Dave. He's really excited. That's his excited face. Drink it in. It's a thing of beauty. Let's go round the room and introduce everybody. Shan, fresh from sharpening her Nuno axe and deploying it with great ferocity at the game on Saturday. How are you, Shan? Are you okay? You in for a banging show tonight?
Absolutely fucking fantastic. My sign's gone. I've managed to get rid of the banner now. There was no need for the Nuno out banner anymore. Hopefully no need to boo anymore. And I can actually, my self-inflicted stadium ban for as long as Nuno was going to be in charge actually isn't going to be a thing now. So I think that's the main thing here.
Right, if you were watching last night, Shan was on like a proper meltdown on Saturday evening. I mean, I've never seen as many F-bombs and C-bombs dropped in our group chat as that before. Even by Dave when he's really been on the pop, on the sauce. But Shan was like ferocious and was literally hammering away at Nuno. And she declared that she would not go to the stadium as long as Nuno was in charge. 24 hours later, it was all over for Nuno. So don't cross that lady. She's got some power. I'm telling you now. All the way from Brazil, it's my favorite Brazilian Irishman, kind of like Englishman sometimes when he feels like it, with the smallest beer glass in the world, Brendan McGurty. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Good to be back in YouTube world. What a day. What a 24 hours. Well, Saturday, so 48 hours, I guess. And here we are. But it's good to see your beautiful faces and pick apart what is the clown car that is our club.
Well, yeah, it's certainly there's a lot to pick apart, and we'll be doing that across the show. Please do drop your chats in, drop your super chats in, pick up a channel membership while you're there. Even Paul's members are in the chat. Paul's there. What a lineup! Thanks, Paul. Gov is in the chat. Silent Dove, good evening to you too. We've got loads of people in here tonight that are channel members, and you can grab yours too. Really simple to do so for a bargain monthly fee. Also joining us, Mr. Steve Diver, the accountant, is here. There he is in the corner, talking head. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I think I prefer Dave's intro to me. Calling me the accountant isn't a good sign, but I am good, but I am scared. We'll come on to that later.
Well, I mean, Dave's, if you get, oh no, I'm not going to do it. I was going to do it for comedy value, but I don't think anyone will actually get it, so I'm not going to do it.
Nobody will get it.
Intro. But speaking of which, a man who needs no introduction, he's got a bigger time gap from England to Australia than ever before. So, you know, I'm not sure how much he'll be appearing over the next few months, which is a real shame. We'll miss him. It's Deadpan Dave. How are you, sir?
Caller, that was almost sincerity you were exuding there. So thank you. I'm very well, thank you. Melbourne Cup Day in Australia. The race that stops the nation. Half day for me, and then I'm going to the boozer.
How many likes for Brendan to do a salsa dance to Conte? Brendan, how many likes do we have to get in the chat to get you to salsa? The other day, HG did a I told you so dance. People lapped it up. It's become a meme.
Well, in Brazil, we dance samba. Salsa is more Colombia, where I'm going in a couple of weeks. But yeah, 200 likes, I reckon.
I mean, can we say 100 likes?
Go on then. It'll be worth it though.
It'll be worth it. 100 likes. Smash that like button now. Shan, stop ordering Jack around. Can you keep account of the likes, please? Go through the chat. That'd be grand. Look at her divvying out her order. So she's like, literally, Jack, if you don't get me a glass of wine, the same will happen to you that it did Nuno. All right? Put him in his place, Shan. John, how are you, sir? All the way from the South Coast. Thanks for taking the time out. You look different today.
What, without my skull face, you mean?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. I decided 2 days in a row was enough. Or 1 day in a row was rough. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's been a great day. It's been exciting. A bit like transfer deadline day, isn't it, in a way? Keep checking the phone. Obviously, we've all been working very hard today.
Yeah.
refreshing. I think every Spurs fan has been on Twitter non-stop today, haven't they?
Yeah,
been brilliant.
absolutely. I'm refreshing my Twitter feed non-stop. Zap the battery. Brandon straight out the blocks. Jesus, Brendan thinks it's Conte with a massive demand for likes. Wants a war chest of likes. Well, we'll come on to Conte and his ample chest in good time. But firstly, Nuno's gone. Let's reflect on that for a minute. Brendan, do you think the dice were loaded from the start on this one?
It wasn't a great start, was it? We see him knowing he's seventh choice, the players knowing he's seventh choice. It's quite hard to sort of have a level of authority in the dressing room when everyone knows that. And that's putting aside all the other side stories that we've got with Tonga Ndombele, with Harry Kane, etc. So, yeah, but he dealt with it really well. Like he dealt with it. The word gentleman's been used a lot, but with decorum, with courtesy. He really. He just didn't look happy. There were the songs. He doesn't like the media stuff. We've discussed that before. And I think that was part of his downfall. I think his inability to communicate at the press conferences, get his message across to the fans. So we know what we're building towards, what we were building towards with him, but he didn't do that. So yeah, it wasn't the greatest start. And it's sad to see him go. It is sad. He's a good guy, but the right decision probably in the end.
And he sported a fantastic beard like yourself, so it's a real shame for bearded people.
I've got beard envy. His beard's a proper beard. This is ridiculous.
Seventh choice, and the players knew it, Dave. That's, like Brendan's touched on, that's undermining from the start, isn't it?
Yeah, when we were on doing a YouTube over the summer during the interminable search for a manager, I said at the time that, again, I'm going to say this again. The choices were at the time Gattuso, a.k.a. Mussolini. Then you had Fonseca, a.k.a. Zorro. And then you had Nuno. Nuno has got Premier League experience. As was mentioned last night on the show, if we'd have taken him last summer, the summer before, when they had 2 top 7 finishes, we'd have all been going, yeah, that's not a bad choice. I think he's not a media manager. But you know what? 2 of the greatest managers of our history, Bill Nick and Keith Burkishaw, gruff Northerners who weren't that bothered about communication through the media. So, I feel sorry for him. I think people were too busy to sharpen the knife for him already because he didn't show enough passion, throw himself to the floor, all that kind of stuff. And touch with Conte coming in, we're certainly going to be getting that.
Shannon, speaking of sharpening the knife, you've been sharpening your tools for quite some time on Nuno. Do you feel a bit sorry for him? Do you feel that he was sold down the river a bit from Poch? And I'd really like everyone's view on this. I've just got to pop out quickly. I'd just like to spin this around the group. We really do need to sort of get to the bottom of who's to blame for all of this. Is it Levy? Is it Nuno? What is it? Shan, you can start and then pass it round, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've not been happy with Nuno for a number of weeks now. I've not made a secret of that. I've said he's been under pressure. I didn't necessarily want him to lose his job. I said give him till Christmas. But after the United game, it was clear his position was untenable. The atmosphere in the stadium was insane. Like I said, the man sitting behind me was so angry, his spit was landing on my face, which added another dimension of wasn't nice. Obviously, every decision he made was getting booed. There's people singing songs that he was doing, which I think we all know he didn't really. I think he was out of his depth really from the beginning. Obviously, it's a bit concerning. This was Paratici's first major decision, and it's not gone great. But we all know Nuno wasn't his first choice. His first choice was Conte. But Daniel Levy said we didn't have the funds to give Conte what he wants. But now all of a sudden, the magic pot of money at the bottom of the rainbow has been found, and now it looks like Conte is on his way. So Paratici's now getting his first choice. I think really the only person we have to blame for this circus is Daniel Levy, because now we're 14 million quid down. We've wasted 10 games in the league. Well, you could argue 7 because, 5. We won 5 of them. Wasted 5 games in the league. We've got a -7 goal difference. We've got to come back from that as well. the league is so tight, so goal difference could be really important come the end of the season. Yeah, it's just been a bit of a disaster class from Levy, this one. I think he has got to take some accountability. Like I say, I'm not Levy out, but I do think this has made him look a little bit ridiculous. What do you think, John? We'll come to you next.
Oh, I think we said a lot this last night, didn't we, really? Whose fault is it? It's Paratici's fault on the local level. He was the one that apparently appointed and wanted Nuno. Levy wasn't so keen, was he? But Levy brought him in. That said, Paratici's done some good work in the transfer market so far. He's got a lot of work to do, as we know, especially if Conte is the man coming in. He's going to have a hell of a lot of work to do in the next 2 transfer windows. Yeah, I think it's a bit of everyone. Ultimately, Levy carries the can, but he basically said, "I'm passing the football over to Paratici."
But John, if Levy would have given Conte the money in the first place, Paratici would have got his first choice. So now we've gone round in a circle and we're back to where we started in the summer.
Was it just the money? Because we had all these stories about he wasn't allowed to bring his people in, or this and that. If it is just down to that, it's pretty stupid of Levy. And I think it's not the first time he's sort of done this and done a U-turn, is it? We've seen him do this before. I know that we're not big fans of Mr. Jamie Redknapp, but about 6 weeks ago, I saw him on Sky saying Daniel Levy listens to the last person he heard, as it were, which I find a bit surprising if that's true. But maybe he just had someone in his ear saying, don't spend all this money. Like maybe Uncle Joe was in there. Maybe Stevie can give us a bit more insight.
Definitely not true. Redknapp's talking bollocks.
Surprise. What do you think, Steve?
Pure surprise. So what I think everybody's to blame. I think Levy's to blame. It wasn't the great appointment from the start. I think Paratici's to blame because clearly, his job is to run the footballing side of a club now. I think the players are to blame. Can we hand on heart say more than maybe 1 or 2 of the players have actually played for the club this season? Put their best foot out there and played well. Kane's been absent, Son's been absent, Højbjerg hasn't been great. A couple of new signings have done well. And then, of course, I think Nuno's to blame as well. Lack of any tactical credibility, lack of substitutions. He, as you guys know, sits behind the bench, and he either stands there or sits there for the entire game. There's no emotion. There's no speaking to the players. He has very little interaction with them on the bench. There's no camaraderie. He hasn't built a team, and he is a manager, and a manager's job is to get the team going. So I think everybody's got some level of blame. I'd put more to Nuno, quite frankly, but I do feel bad for him because I don't think he was the right person for the job, although easy to say now. And I don't think he was dealt the best pack of cards.
One thing, Steve, sorry, this is a question for you, actually. Shannon said 14 million compensation. That doesn't add up if his salary was, 4? I think so. He was one of the lowest paid. That's one of the reasons why Levy hired him, was we got him on the cheap, no compensation to pay because he was without a club. The 14 million thing being banded around, what's your take on that as the accountant?
Probably wrong. I think almost every single number I see banded around by people for the club is wrong. But I've got no idea what the number is.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. 14 million seems way too high.
It's triple his salary and his 2 seasons to pay off. So
I did see. I saw 11.5 million at first, and then more recently, I've seen it's 14 million. So whether that includes his coaches as well, I don't know, but that's the number I've seen a lot.
It's a very expensive coach. I can't imagine it's more than like 5 million quid compensation in my view. I thought he was on like 2.5 million a year, but even so, it's shrapnel to Levy, isn't it, Dave?
Just picking up some of I'm going to ignore the Levy fishing rod for a second. Just picking up some of the points that have been said. The question about him being out of his depth. we're in the Europa Conference League this season. We were in the Europa League last season. He's managed Wolves in the Europa League. Let's be real as to where we are at the moment as a club and as a team and where we are. So a question of out of his depth, I don't agree with at all. In terms of who's to blame, Paratici, as I said, it was Fonseca. Paratici said no to Fonseca. He said he wanted Gattuso, which everyone was in uproar about. And he said to Steve Hitchin and Levy, get Nuno in. And remember, we had no other options at the time. So everyone can do the feedback dance and the feedback with hindsight dance. We had no one. There was no one around. Do you want Ryan Mason back in? Or do you want
hang on, Dave. Hang on, Dave.
Who else was around?
I'm just going to drop you a truth bomb right now. Conte was unemployed then, and Conte's unemployed now. So I've seen some stuff coming in the chat. What's the difference now? What's financially changed? There we go. What's financially changed for this to be? Paul Muir. There you go.
All right.
Tell me.
When I say no one was around, that's in the context of the Conte deal was dead. Okay. We were on YouTube. Me, you, and HG were on YouTube in July, all getting very excited about Conte, very excited, which I'm still excited about it now. But he had turned us down, and Jonathan Loog wrote a great article in the Guardian about how that could they really be arguing about the fact that Ryan Sessegnon and Oliver Skipp won't be supported by Antonio Conte? The fact of the matter is Conte wanted X amount of money as a salary. He wanted X amount of money for transfer budget, and Levy wouldn't do the deal. Paratici was hot for the deal. But what's changed is the events on Saturday. And the event on Saturday is that poor old Daniel got booed at the stadium. And poor old Daniel had some people singing, "We want Levy out." And Daniel didn't like that because he's got other fool guys to take the rap. But unfortunately, people decided to sing, "We want Levy out." And he's not so happy about it. So now we've done yet another U-turn.
Disagree.
Wow.
Go on then.
Steve.
The Nuno sacking had nothing to do with the chance of the atmosphere in the stadium on Saturday.
No, getting Conte is, though.
That's not.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, who else could we get?
He was the first choice back then, wasn't he? So surely it would make sense to go back to him if the job's vacant. Sorry, Steve.
It would. I mean, that's right. I mean, the writing's been on the wall for what? When did I say 4 or 5 weeks ago, caller? That Nuno had to after the United game. That was the ultimatum he was given.
Was that not the night you met Joe Lewis and Daniel Levy?
It was. They didn't say anything. To be very clear. Before I get us or me sued. So the writing was on the wall. The timeline adds up. I think. Where am I going with this? So I think the writing was on the wall. I don't think it's got anything to do with the chance. I think why we're going after Conte now, what has changed, are 2 crucial things, and people in the chat have said this. COVID, we have more security over COVID. We are a football club, like it or not. We do not have owner investment. Most clubs don't. We do not have huge commercial income. We are not a Man United. We cannot get a £75 million a year shirt deal. We're not the Liverpools. We do not have a global reach. So we need a stadium income to be competitive. That wasn't guaranteed over summer because of COVID. 2, so I was reading these factors. I know half leads or Levy. 2, desperation. Daniel Levy isn't an idiot. He's got his failings, 100%, but he's not an idiot. The board aren't idiots. They can see our league position dropping, and they know they have to invest. So I don't know, but I think we will see some investment. And when you're backed into a corner, you have to come out fighting. That's
This is a good. Yeah, I'll take your point, Steve. This is a good point, isn't it, John? For Conte to be done so quickly means they must have already been in talks. Saturday's performance just moved it along. I tend to agree with that. They must have made contact prior to Saturday. They wouldn't have been able to just parachute him in and bring him in tomorrow on the back of him being booed at the stadium. I take Dave's point that Daniel Levy doesn't want to be booed and it has got an ego the size of Peru. But I think there must have been wheels in motion.
So I don't know if you remember, but before Jose came in, and obviously he was announced 6-7 hours after Poch was announced. About 4 or 5 weeks before he was off the Lyon job, wasn't he? And he said he's already got a job lined up. So Jose Mourinho was lined up weeks before Poch was sacked. I think they probably kept in constant contact with Conte, but they could have done this quickly. They knew he was unemployed. Paratici's got his direct line. Could have just phoned him up or phoned his agent up and said, "Let's have a conversation. What are the issues? Let's iron them out." If they want to get it done, they can get it done, I think.
No, absolutely. There's lots of conversations going on in the chat. This one I like. Conte raises the profile for the stadium, Shan. A screaming lunatic on the touchline's just what we want to raise the profile, right?
I love a screaming lunatic. I am a screaming lunatic.
You were on Saturday, I tell you that.
I enjoy people that are like me, and Conte is quite similar personalities. Obviously, everyone knows how irritated I used to get by Nuno. He just looked like he had no idea, stood on the touchline, he just stood there like this, and it really wound me up. I know Dave disagrees with that wholeheartedly, but you could tell he had no idea what he was doing. Like you say, he weren't communicating with anybody. He was just stood there like a boy in the headlights, clueless. At least with Conte, we know that if Harry Kane isn't pulling his weight and getting into the box, Harry Kane's going to get called out for it on the touchline by Conte. Conte ain't going to tolerate that shit. He's going to have to work for it. Now, that boy, he ain't just getting in the team now because Conte won't have that. He won't have passengers in his squad.
And we believe that Conte is staying overnight tonight at Spurs Lodge. That's
He's having dinner with Daniel Levy and Paratici. How thrilling!
Well,
Dave would love that, wouldn't he?
Steve would probably know all about that. Dave would probably, that's like his lifelong fantasy, to be honest. So
to have a sloppy Giuseppe with Daniel Levy, I'd love it.
That's probably as much as he spent.
Yeah, you'd have to make a tan up.
They're still going to split the bill, won't they? It's Daniel Levy.
Yeah, I mean, paying for yourself, right?
There's no tip going on that. We know that.
You had 3 poppadoms. You had the chicken boona. They're just noting everything down. So.
Now, what's the Australian dollar versus the sterling, David? I just need to put some add-ons for it. Thanks, Daniel.
They won't say anything to him at the time. But when he gets his first pay slip, there'll be like a dinner deduction and a night in the hotel. Like, that's chargeable.
Well,
you think you're getting luxury at Spurs Lodge? That's chargeable.
Can you not remember when we bought Modric?
Yes.
And they wanted his shirts, didn't they? And we knocked it off the transfer fee.
That's right.
And Brad
Daniel Levy.
Brad Friedel came out and he had 800 quid knocked off his pay packet for giving shirts, for swapping shirts. He was right at the end of his career, so lots of people wanted lots of other goalies wanted his shirt. Same with Van der Sar, and I think they gave him 10 shirts. After the 10th shirt, they charge you for each shirt that you swap with players, or Daniel Levy does. I found that astounding. Well, nothing really surprises with Daniel Levy, but that was a crazy thing.
I've got to be honest. I thought Knight just provided them for now as part of the agreement. If I'm really honest, but what do I?
Yeah, they probably do. It's profit, isn't it?
Yeah, you're probably right. Where does this leave Paratici, Shan? Slight egg on face. I mean, he was the man who really was behind Nuno, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he employed Nuno, but like Dave said, what other choice did he have if Daniel Levy said we haven't got the finances for Conte? And the fans were in uproar about Gattuso. Nuno was also Paratici's third choice. So, yeah, he is in a way responsible. But ultimately, the one that looks stupid here is Daniel Levy. Because he could have just said, okay, 4 months ago, and we wouldn't have had the farcical manager search that had been over weeks before it was. He would have had time to plan. Our transfer window could have potentially been a little bit better than it was now.
We'd have spent more in it.
We would have got a striker caller, that's for sure, definitely. So yeah, things could have been different if we'd have just done. We've wasted 4 months, and Daniel's the one that looks stupid here. I think more so than Paratici.
But Why has every single Spurs fan said for the last, decade, Daniel Levy managed the club, do not manage the football side of it?
But Daniel's the one that controls the purse string, Steve. So
But-
the strategy wanted Conte, but he couldn't get him because Levy said we can't afford it.
Agreed, but you can't solely blame Daniel Levy if he's stepped back from it all and gone, Paratici does all the football matters now. Paratici must have believed it, somewhat. I know he was 70th, 100th, 800th choice, whatever. But Paratici still has to take some blame because basically we've been calling out for Daniel Levy to do this for a decade, if not more, and he's done it. And now have people saying he's the asshole for doing it.
I'm just looking at the likes, guys, because we've got 140 odd people watching, 62 likes, which means Brendan, get your Samba Shuffle warmed up. We're not far off. We've only got 48 to go. 48 likes if you want to see Brendan do a silly dance. I bet he can't top HG's. Let's get to 100 likes ASAP. Right, where does this leave Levy, Dave?
Where does this leave Levy? Oh, Teflon Dan's all right for another day because he's he sorted it all out. As I said, he's full of U-turns, is Daniel, and here's another U-turn. I think that where it leaves him is that I'm hoping that he now takes the approach of the Dildo brothers at West Ham, i.e., he just shuts up and he gets on to deal with get the naming rights sorted. Paratici and Conte worked together at Juventus for a few years. So that's the key relationship there. And Levy just says to Paratici and Conte, this is the budget you've got, off you go. And then Levy just disappears off and he can do some photo shoots with Slash and Axel before the Guns N' Roses gig. And then we're all happy. One theory, and this is just my own humble opinion, is if Conte comes in on an 18-month contract with an option for 2 more years, he gets us in the Champions League. He gets us Champions League football and a more of a solid base. That could be the time for ENIC to sell. I hope so.
Yeah, but for 3 billion, right, Dave?
Well, again, we've had this conversation many times before, and everyone goes, "What possibly could they get? What could new owners do to get out of it?" And as I've said to you, if we get to a certain level, as I've seen with Chelsea and Man City, having lived out of England for the last 10 to 15 years, their global brand is massive now. Okay, so that is the carrot for whoever would come in, and I think the whole kind of Super League is going to come back in. The whole kind of the TV broadcasting rights is the way that's going to be divvied up in terms of different media platforms. There is something for new owners to come in and make a profit out of. And here comes Stevie back to rebut that comment.
No.
Probably hear it.
I didn't hear it.
Through, we're 5 months behind where we should be, but I will credit Levy for acting swiftly and remedying this mistake rather than letting it drag on. Do you think Levy deserves some credit from this, John?
I sort of take the point, but it takes a big. He's quite a little man, isn't he? I'm only 5'8", and he's smaller than me, I think, isn't he? Yeah. To make that decision to go back to what you said no to, I think is quite a brave decision, but it had to be done because we're just going to free fall otherwise, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but he's got a history of doing that, though, hasn't he? Because you look at, we've had Ramos in, no ketchup in the players' canteen. No one likes that. We're 2 points from 8 games. Brings in Harry Redknapp. Ketchup's back in the canteen. Harry Redknapp. We've got a new training ground with computers and everything.
Not only ketchup, but roly polies.
Yeah, so we got a new training ground with computers and analysis. So we'll get rid of him. We'll get in AVB who can stroke his beard and look at the spreadsheets. It's a U-turn every time. Okay, and then AVB we go to Sherwood. Notice the pattern. So I'm delighted with Conte. You'll be sad to see I've only got another 10 minutes. I think Conte's the best manager out there. We're all collectively excited in July. He is a winner. If he, and I agree with Shannon. Harry Kane's not trying. Well, he can sit on the bench, and he can deal with. I don't care who Conte falls out with now. If we get him in and he falls out with people in the playing squad, the sacred cows of the club, good. because they've underperformed for far too long. Højbjerg comes out, does his interview after the game. Oh, I can't talk about these things. Well, Højbjerg, you had a shit game on the weekend. You were awful. So concentrate on your own game and get on with it. Rant over.
Thanks, Dave. I always think it's refreshing. Yeah, Levy has got. I mean, he sacked a lot of managers before Christmas. So the likes of Hoddle, Santini, Yol, Ramos, Villas Boas, Pochettino, and now Nuno. So for me, if he deserves any credit, it's for being decisive when he's messed up, basically, because he will sack people.
When he's continually messed up, at least he does something about it. Well, there's
well, he has been at the club 20 years, Dave. I think we've been through 15 managers, so the life expectancy of Conte on that basis is about 18 months, which is fitting because he's got an 18-month contract.
When you think Poch was here for 5.5 seasons, that's other than Poch, it's a manager a season, which is quite damning, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, he keeps picking the wrong ones. It's a problem. Of course, Adele hasn't sung yet, and he's not officially confirmed. We're expecting that in the morning, so hopefully we will get that confirmation. But the latest update is it is done. I've even got a little banner made. Look. There you go. Conte to be announced tomorrow. Just call me Mr. Meg. We called the sacking. We could
regret this.
We called the sacking before the end of October, thanks to Steve's chat. No, it wasn't a chat with the main board. I can't say that. It was Steve's.
Definitely not.
Steve's rumour mill. We called that Conte was going to be in the job very quickly. So trust us, he is going to be announced tomorrow. How are we doing on likes, Shan? I really want to see Brendan shake his maracas.
Do you know what? John's been doing my job for me, so I don't actually know.
73.
There we go.
There you go. We are closing in on that 100 like mark, like Max Verstappen closing in on the world title this season. 18-month deal announced tomorrow. That's what we believe. 18 months. Anyone slightly concerned with 18 months? That I know, Dave, you were. Do you want to talk about it quickly because you've got to leave us soon? He's concerned about everything, Dave. Yeah. Dave, 18 months. What are you worried about?
It's my job to be concerned. Listen, I think that 18 months is a worry because if we're having a conversation with players in the summer to get them in, at the moment they'll only have 1 year of Conte there, and that is a concern in terms of attracting who we need to attract. I've got no doubt. I mean, he is one of the best managers around. We get 18 months out of him. There's an option to extend, which I don't know if that's an option for Conte to extend or the club. I suspect it would be Conte because he's in the negotiation. He's in the best position. So we could be finding ourselves looking for another new manager in 18 months' time. I know he doesn't last long in most places, but it would be good to get 2 full seasons out of him. That would be great, an optimum. So my concern is there with that. But we'll see how we go. As I said, I think he'll come in and he'll shake things around, which is what we desperately need.
So Gov was on the show last night and kindly offered to give. He was so disbelieving that Conte was coming, offered to give $500 to charity, and he's followed that up with a super chat tonight. So Gov. We will find you and we'll let you know what the consensus is. But I guess we'd like to put it down to some sort of vote or something if you want to do that. I'm sure a charity would really use that money. So Paratici's been working on January transfers. He would have already done a lot of the legwork with agents and has a reputation for chatting up players close to free transfers. Does all that change now Conte's at the club, Bren? What do you think?
No, I think they'll, as we've discussed, they've worked together before. So I think that Paratici will have in mind players that Conte will want to bring in. It's certainly the more attacking players that we have to look at, i.e. a second striker, attacking midfielder. I think Vlahovic, the Vlahovic rumours came about a bit again recently from Fiorentina. So no, I think that listening to I think it was the Guardian that Conte and Paratici they have worked together. They work well, but they're not like best mates. It's a very professional relationship between them.
Me and you.
No, exactly. I don't think that Conte does any dancing for private dancing for attitude. He saves it for the touchline. So yeah, it's exciting. It is. Like, I've been watching Conte videos all day, and well, not all day. I've been working, but it's exciting times. That the way he plays, what he demands from the players, it's exactly what we want. We want overloads out wide. The three at the back looks great. Solid base to work from, interplay, like ability to play on the counter, to play through the lines. He's got it all. And he's not boring. People say, "Oh, he plays boring football." He's Mourinho Mark II.
No,
Inter scored more than 100 goals in 2 consecutive seasons under him. It's not boring football. If the thing with him though is that he just demands the players put the effort in. I think he said in an interview, like, I demand respect and I give respect, something along those lines. And yeah, look, if and when it's over the line, it's a great appointment.
No, absolutely. Gov follows that up with another super chat. So new season predictions now. Conte will be in, and we will spend top 4 in a trophy. John, what's your view on that? Let's keep that up there for a minute. What's your view?
I was just going to ask Brendan actually what he think. Before we get to January, can Conte get this group of players winning lots of games?
Well, he's going to demand that they put the effort in. That's what's been lacking. I think a lot of the players had. We saw it against United. Players just weren't putting in the effort. The bare minimum wasn't being done. So we've got. I don't know. I think our run up to Christmas isn't too tricky. We've got West Ham in the cup. We've got Liverpool. We've got a few games, but. No, I think that the players, he'll come in and he'll have, similarly to Mourinho, a bit of an aura about him. He's won 5 league titles in the last 7 years. So that brings with it a level of respect that Nuno sadly didn't have. So we will see a reaction. He'll demand it. And again, we can't guarantee that results will improve, but he's the 3rd or 4th best manager in the world. It's just crazy that he wants to come to us as well. And as we asked earlier, what has changed since he said no last time? It's bizarre, but it's great.
The truth is, Bren, there's been a lot of speculation about why he didn't come in the summer, but no one really knows that. Only really Paratici and Levy know that. It might have been personal terms. Might not have been about spending. It might have been personal terms. You don't know. Maybe it was purely a salary thing, and actually now we've gone back and basically kissed his ass. Interesting comment. He once said to Le Quip, I don't lick arse, in context of speaking to his bosses. So what a beautiful turn of phrase he's got. That directness.
He also did say that he wanted to murder people that didn't perform in his squad.
Yeah.
So.
He did. He said. I love that clip, and it's been doing the rounds on Twitter. So I guess
we're not going to have a team left by January. We're going to have to get 11 new signings. They're all going to be gone.
You could go through the team and say, where does this leave this person? Where does this leave that person? I'm going to pick a couple out who I believe have got attitudinal issues. Dave, first for you, where does that leave Delhi?
Delhi's he's very much drinking at last chance saloon and has been it for 2 years. But the fact of the matter is that what we're going to do, we're going to have a 3-5-2. So he might get to play up top. I think so that's for him. Winks as well. Ndombele, he's upset that he wasn't picked in the League Cup final because Ryan picked his mates. Kane, especially Kane. I think I've got to go but a minute. So I think for us, we need a second striker in the window. We're very thin there. We need something a little bit different in the midfield as well. Other than that, it's a couple of tweaks and additions that we should have done in the summer. If Ollie remains at the wheel at United and Conte comes in, we got a chance of getting top 4.
Chance.
A great chance. A great chance. And that is that. And if we pull that out of the bag, that would represent a great season for us. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that Delhi 3-5-2 could suit him, but it's now on him, and it's now on Winks, and it's now on Mr. Højbjerg, who says he can't talk too much. Focus on your own games, boys, and let's get on with it. And on that inspiring, powerful, slightly energetic note, I bid you all farewell.
It was slightly energetic. Are you feeling
the least
okay?
monotone I've heard Dave ever.
Yeah,
he's a great. He's a great manager. He's a great manager. He's the best manager out there, and I'm very, very excited. And touch wood, subject to 5,000 COVID tests, I'll be at the Leeds game, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, good night, and God bless you all.
Come on,
Bye,
you
Dave.
Spurs.
See you, Dave.
Go on,
night.
Spurs. See you later. Bye.
Have a great day in Oz.
He's smiling and
Thank you.
everything. Look at
He's
that.
smiling.
I know.
Window is smiling. I'm not sure.
Enjoy
what
that bus
was.
ride.
Someone has absolutely got to clip that for the.
Someone
for the
body
tweet
swapped him, I
afterwards,
swear.
Yeah, someone has literally body swapped him. Unbelievable, to be honest.
He must be a morning person, right?
Yeah.
It's like
well,
8 a.m. from him, isn't it?
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, can you see? My question is, can you see Levy and Conte coexisting for long, Brendan? Because, I mean, he's a combustible person who's fallen out with the ownership at every club he's been at. So, Inter, due to spending, believe it or not, you know, he's, by the way, I looked it up. So, since 2016, in world football, he's the third highest spending manager. He spent over, £500 million in transfer fees at 2 clubs. Is this not a collision course between Levy? I mean, I want to be really happy, and I am really, really happy about it. But I do worry how this is going to unfold. And it's a little bit almost Mourinho-esque in that it seems a very short-term appointment.
Yeah, well, then that's the 18-month contract for you there as well. I think that the Paratici's role here is important there because obviously he's got the relationship already with him, so he acts as that filter between himself and Daniel Levy. I don't know if he fell out with Abramovich, or did he at Chelsea? I don't know if that was the issue.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, big time.
He took him to court, didn't he?
Yeah, his coaching team took Chelsea to court for breach of contract, and Chelsea were trying to countersue him for breach of contract. I know I've read up all on it today, so it doesn't generally end well.
Yeah. Well, but the ride is what it's all about. The playing for now. Stop this. Let's build a project. And no. I want to win now. I want to win stuff now, and that's what he will bring. So yeah, of course, that he's going to have to understand that we haven't got the riches. I think we can compare to Inter in fees paid. In terms of the revenue that they generate, like they brought in Lukaku, they brought in Eriksen, they spent a fair whack, but he got them playing to a tune. They weren't spending huge amounts, other than Lukaku. They weren't spending huge amounts, and they were getting results. So we just got to be smart with the spending, and that's where Paratici comes in. I think that Conte will understand that. Apparently, I saw again. This is all Twitter bollocks as well, but that we have 100 million in the war chest
for January.
January is never a good time to spend 100 million. I think that there has to be some patience in it as well. And I think he'll understand that. And it's crazy that he's coming. But let's enjoy the ride.
I'm just going to pick this comment up. Paul Pablo, I'm going to come to you, Steve, because you are a little fact-checking accountant. Levy doesn't like spending and Conte loves spending. What a combination. I mean, part of that is true, but we have spent money over the last couple of seasons, haven't we?
We have, and I think Bren said it perfectly. Spend it smart. Yeah, we've spent, I think Paul Muir put in the chat earlier, we've spent 180 odd million on absolute shit. So we do spend money, but we don't spend it well. We've spent more than Liverpool over the last 5 years or whatever the metric is.
79 million on average season in the last 5 years.
So we do spend. We just don't. Liverpool went out and they recruited a few world-class players in the positions they needed to strengthen.
But they weren't world-class at the time. And that's where the man management comes. Salah was not a world-class player when he signed for Liverpool.
He was getting there. Van Dijk was pretty decent. Alisson, they were decent signings.
They were better than the ones we buy.
Yeah,
we seem to go for this shotgun approach of we'll buy almost like one marquee player. So we got Romero in. He was our marquee over the summer. And then we'll buy a load of lesser players. I don't know whether it would be better if we could just buy 1 or 2 Romeros every season rather than 1 Romero and 3 okay players. But then saying that and completely discrediting everything I said, I think Gil will come very good. Galini looks a decent backup and dare I say it, Lloris replacement next year. Royale, I think, is growing every game.
Yeah.
And under Conte could actually be what we want. Him on the right, Reguilon on the left is quite exciting in terms of how Conte likes to play. So that could be well set up. And yeah, technically, yes, I do get we haven't yet bought Romero, but I think it has been misreported in the press, from what I understand. I don't think it's an option to buy him.
An
I
obligation.
think
It's
we
an
have
obligation
to buy
to
him.
buy, yeah.
In
Yeah.
January,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
I think there's two options. I think you can buy
Sure,
him in
it's first
January,
of
you can buy him at
July.
the end of the season, but the I think if you buy him in January, it's cheaper, which is pretty much the same deal we did with GLC.
Mhm.
I've got a
we
question.
a discount.
Do you think, obviously, there's been a lot of noise around Reguilon going back to Madrid. Do you think Reguilon will want to go back to Madrid with Conte in charge?
Well, look, HG's got this strange theory. He's dreamt it up in his head, and if you're watching HG, hi. But he thinks the reason that he was dropped for Davis at the weekend was because Reguilon is on his way back to Real Madrid. I don't buy that for a second, if I'm being really honest. I think it's just because Nuno made a poor choice. But I don't think anyone would want to leave right now in the club, apart from maybe Kane, with Conte coming in. I think after a couple of training sessions, there might be some players that are going to be out of the first team squad because I think he will. No, I don't think Ndombele will. He tried to buy Ndombele into Milan. He tried to buy him, and he's a massive Kane fan. So I think there are players who he will absolutely, and he's obviously very aware of Romero. There's players that he will want around him and build a core of a team around, and I think those are them. Kane, obviously, his situation is a little bit different because I think he still wants to go ultimately, and he's kind of put the shutters down, hasn't he? He doesn't seem to want to play at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. He may well end up being benched, but we shall see. John, what's your view?
What about Reggie?
Yeah.
If he did want to go, I think he's less likely to want to go now with Conte. I think all the players were just lost, weren't they, under Nuno? So having Conte come in will be a whole new thing. Again, wing back seems more suited to wing back role, doesn't he? And we know we're going to play three at the back, whether it's a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, remains to be seen because he's played both systems, hasn't he? I think he'll give it a go. I mean, he's not going anywhere until the summer, is he? Realistically, I can't see Madrid wanting to sign him in January.
That's quite funny. I haven't had a Charlie Kane joke for a while. That's a good one. Yeah.
Shame Dave wasn't here.
You what? Sorry, Steve, I missed that.
Just said shame Dave isn't here to laugh.
Oh, shame Dave isn't it? Oh, he I'm sure he'll watch on replay and be swearing at the telly. But yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure Madrid would want Reggie back. Yeah, there's a lot of noise around it, but there's always a lot of noise, isn't there? There's always a lot of noise with transfers and all this stuff. And I always say you don't know the truth. You don't know this. No one knows the circumstances. They can make up some bullshit if they like, but no one knows the circumstances of why Conte didn't join in the summer. No one knows what the conversation is right now, is there? So we will see. We will see what happens. And I think this is a valid point. Born to lose, Bren. If Conte honestly thought he couldn't get a chin out of the squad, there's no way he'd tarnish his reputation by joining us for a few million that he doesn't need.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised he is joining, to be honest. But I think that he'll see us as a challenge, and he's going to be well paid for that challenge. I just think, probably wants to get back into a job, and at the moment, the Spurs job is probably the best job available. What else is there? Newcastle, Ole's still at United, so Madrid and Barcelona are going for Xavi. So, yeah, it is a strange one, but it's great. It's huge news. It's huge coup for us as a club to be able to attract a manager of the caliber of Antonio Conte. It's massive, and the players aren't that bad. We've got a good squad. You go through that first 11, you're like, well, they're all right. They're all right. There's little improvements to make, but
isn't that the point, though, Bren? isn't that the point with this? So when you look at our squad, we're really underperforming, aren't we? Players individual, yet we're still only 5 points off fourth spot, is it, or 4 points off fourth spot? That a little bit of improvement or a lot of improvement needed in some cases could mean that we're romping up the league quite quickly. And it might be a really smart move to make that change now rather than giving Nuno a little bit more time. They must have sounded out Conte in advance to see if he would come, because I don't believe we'd be here now.
Do you think that might have played into why he looked so miserable recently? Do you think he knew that shit was going on in the background, that Paratici's on the phone? Yeah, Nuno, he knew that there were conversations going on behind his back, Paratici on his phone all the time. Yeah. Who's he talking to? Is he talking to Conte?
He's always on that phone.
But he sort of seemed like it was constantly undermined since he arrived, and it was doomed for failure. Like the players didn't respect him. I think we saw with Højbjerg that there was a lot of shit going on in the dressing room in terms of little scenarios here and there. And poor Nuno, he's well remunerated, I'm sure, after the sacking. But what a mess for him. And I hope he finds a good club after this.
I think he's a really honest, likable guy, but the warning signs were there, as I think someone said to me on the Facebook group. The warning signs were absolutely there. In his last season at Wolves, they didn't perform. They just did not perform that last season that he had at Wolves. And then we hired him because we couldn't get anyone else in, or the people who we could have got in were not willing to come. I know there's a lot of talk about Potter. Look, I'm on the Potter train. Potter would be a long-term appointment, wouldn't he? But ultimately, I think we've gone short-term. And I think one thing that Daniel Levy always says is he craves success and is ambitious for the club as much as anything. And he obviously gets a lot of stick for that. But when you look at Nuno was a really strange appointment. But you look at this, I think he's being done out of self-preservation, if I'm really honest. And you look at Mourinho, that was an ambitious appointment. I think, obviously, I suppose the point I'm not trying to defend Daniel Levy's record, but he is trying to do the right thing by the club belatedly, isn't he, Shan?
Daniel Levy is such a difficult conversation because everyone has so many different theories as to what goes on in that little bald egghead of his. Obviously, ultimately, he's a fan. I do think he wants what's best for the club, and even if he doesn't, he wants the club to finish in the top 6. That's in his best interests for the commercial side of the brand, which is ultimately what everyone says he cares about. I agree. I don't think he does anything through lack of ambition. I think he tries. He just isn't very good at. He's got the club to a point now where he doesn't know what he's doing anymore, and he needs someone to help him through that. Obviously, you got Paratici in the summer, which so far is proving to be good. Obviously, apart from Nuno, he gets a large proportion of the blame, but I don't think he can get all of it. If he wanted Conte and the funds weren't originally there for whatever reason, so it's a tough one. I do genuinely think he wants what's best for the club, but he just doesn't help himself. He doesn't help himself in the media, like in the All or Nothing documentary. He was embarrassing. Some of the things he says, like the first game of the season, he released a statement about the new season, and it had about one line about football. I don't think that helped him. The best thing for him is like he did with the Nuno announcement. It came from Paratici. It didn't come from him. So I think that's a good thing. Maybe he's slowly starting to distance himself from the football thing. But at the end of the day, he's chairman and he has to sign off on all the checks. So ultimately, everything will still come back to him, which we can argue is a good or bad thing. If he gets the pelters for when it goes wrong, he needs to get some of the plaudits for when it goes right. If we win trophies and we win the league, yes, it's taken a long time, but he's got us there eventually. So good on Daniel Levy. We're miles and miles and miles ahead of where we were before he came in. So fair play to him. I never thought I'd say that.
Primier channel member and cheese room extraordinaire. Call it. If he didn't perform, why didn't we have a flying start to the season? Why did we have a flying start to the season? Corrected.
We didn't.
I don't think we did.
We won 3 games 1-0, and I mean the Man City game. I think we worked really hard. We were lucky against Wolves, if I'm honest. And then it was the other one. Was
And
it
Watford. Watford, we were lucky.
It was awful to watch.
I was at the Watford game, and I thought we deserved it, but it
We
wasn't a
did, but
convincing
again,
result.
the goal was a fluke. That was a
Yeah.
fluky free kick from Sonny.
Yeah.
I think didn't you throw something up earlier, Shan? I saw it on Sky Sports News around the XG and everything between.
Yeah.
So
I've
Pochettino had
got
a
it
very.
noted here.
Do you want to just go through that quickly?
Yeah, I can get it up. 1 sec.
Can I just say, while you're waiting for that, we're on 98 likes, Brendan.
And while you're looking that up, maximum security doghouse for Winks and 6 more. Absolutely.
That'll be
hello
Levy's
to
next
Norway.
property project.
Yeah. Well, look,
It'll be in the basement of the stadium.
I was hoping no one would mention Winks. I've got to say, his time is up. But sorry, Shan, go for it.
Okay, so obviously Nuno versus Poch. So wins. This is after 5 get up. So first Premier League games at Tottenham. Nuno versus Poch. So wins. Nuno had 5. Poch had 4. However, Nuno has 15 points. Poch had 14. Goals under Nuno we were 19th. Under Poch we were 9th. XG we're 17th under Nuno. 5th under Poch. Touches in opposition box, 14th under Nuno, 6th under Poch. Conceded 14th, 9th under Poch. XG against, 14th under Santo and 17th under Poch. So, obviously, Poch had an awful start as well, but at least there you could sort of see what they were trying to do. We were scoring goals. We were playing better football. You could argue we weren't conceding as much either. So, yeah, I think the problem with Nuno is when it's gone bad, it's gone awful. And that's the problem. When it's been good, it's not been great. And when it's been bad, it's been very bad.
Wow. We're also second bottom on overall shots. I know it's not XG, but we're second bottom. Only Norwich, and they've just had one less shot than we have. And we'd be bottom of that as well. So it just shows the lack of attacking that we're doing, the lack of desire to get the ball in the net.
There you go.
The lack of desire to do anything, so we're bottom on the running stats as well.
Yeah, that's as well, yeah.
112 likes now, Bren. Get your Samba ready.
All right. Tell me when I'll do it.
Oh. He's not asked, is he? He's not asked at all. Go on then, Bren.
Yeah. All right. I'll have to unplug the
I want to see some moves, man.
All right. There may be feedback because I've unplugged the earphones. So, camera's not really good. Thing is, it's got to be with your feet.
Okay.
What is going on here? All I can see is the Brendan rift.
It was the microphone. It's just very strangely placed. Yeah.
Oh, it's worse.
All right. Oh, fuck, I'm going to do this. I won't call the missus.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Do you want me to park it for now? You can do it later.
Yeah, park it. It's not compatible with the setup, but I will do it.
There's a lot of people campaigning for you not to do it as well now. Financial companies, successful companies don't operate the way the press report around Levy. Seriously, it's more about being anti-Levy no matter what. Yeah, no, I'd agree with that in reality because I think a lot of people just talk complete nonsense and don't know the full facts of the story. I'm sure, Steve, you would agree with that.
Yep.
Brilliant.
No, I do agree, and I think, as I said before, I'm not massively pro ENIC. I'm also not massively against ENIC. They've done good and they've done bad. They've done very good and they've done very bad, as is Levy. But I do think some of the criticism they get is just a bit absurd. And I think a lot of people don't live in the real world. Too many people feel they're fired up latest football manager and they've gone in and added a couple $100 million to their budget and then gone and bought all the best players in one league. And they want us to do that. And I think there is people have distanced themselves from how football clubs actually operate and how much money players actually cost. When I see time and time again, people saying, if we just spent another 10 million, just another 10 million. 10 million's a fucking shitload of money. It's an awful lot of money. I think he does get a rough ride, but also I think he could give himself a much easier ride. And I was actually talking to somebody today, I had a meeting with him, he used to do PR club. And they were in full agreement that PR club is shocking. There are so many things a club could do, and I've ranted about it before, so I won't go on too much, but to improve the PR with the fans, so many easy wins. Put a statue up of Greavesy, put the gates back, which clearly are going to go into the Tottenham experience, so we can pay money to go and have a photo taken. We all know what's going to happen there. The last game of the season, last season, yes, everybody got food, that was wonderful. Lower the fucking ticket price. He must have known, somebody at Spurs must have known, highest ticket price, some asshole was going to put on Facebook and in the press a league table of the highest ticket prices in the league for that last game. And we were miles ahead of anybody else. Just so many easy wins. So many easy wins.
Well, official Carl 19 has stuck a super chat in. Galini, Romero, Rodon, Sanchez, Royale, and Reguilon. Is that our back line for the future, I guess? Drop us a comment, official Carl, because I don't really know what that is related to. Alan has also dropped a super chat. And if Brendan had done a dance, it'd be the most movement we've seen in a Spurs shirt this year. They don't call him Snake Hips for nothing, That's what I'm saying. Gov says, I'm the same, Steve. I also hear the realistic alternative method. Compete with billionaires, treating clubs like playthings that would work and be different from Levy's report. So there you go. What's your thoughts on the lineup we're going to see under Conte then? Have you got to go, by the way, Steve? I know you're saying you've got to drop off in a minute.
Is it?
Brilliant.
Paul
now we're
here
talking about
as well?
football, you're kicking me out.
Yeah, Paul's coming in. Paul's here.
Woohoo.
Hi, Paul. Evening, Paul. Can you hear us? Good man.
This looks really awkward, doesn't it? Because I've got to leave, so it looks like I'm leaving because Paul has just joined.
We know you are. Yeah.
I'm sure that's not the case.
How you doing?
All right.
Yeah,
all right,
good.
Paul. Yeah, good.
Right, good evening, Paul. And have a good evening, everybody. I will listen to this tomorrow.
Steve.
And
See you
if you haven't
soon,
done so yet, smash it a like so Brendan can do 2 dances later.
Absolutely.
Have fun.
I think and I won't dance. So we make it that. I think that's probably the better, the more
How about
popular.
if we get to 200 likes, you don't dance? That's what I'm saying. Paul's doing it for nothing. How you doing, Paul? You all right?
Yeah, very nice. Thank you for having me on. Very nice.
No problem at all. What's your view on the current undertakings at Tottenham Hotspur?
What's my views?
Well, are you pleased that Nuno's gone? Can you hear me, Paul?
I can hear you. There's lots of echo. I'm just going to come.
Okay, no
I'm
worries.
not. No, I'd like to say Nuno.
I think he'll be back when he's back. I'm interested to get Paul's view because Paul was backing Nuno until really recently. So it's interesting. I like this one. Can we have a Fortnite dance, please, Brendan?
What's the Fortnite dance? I've never played Fortnite.
They do a bit of flossing, don't they, like Gaza?
Oh, right. Well, I can get actually, I'll get one of my kids to do. They do really good flossing, so I will get one of them.
Hang on, you're not getting off the hook, Brent. It's your dance. You can't throw your kids to the.
Just it'll be way better. It'll be way better, and I'll look cool because I won't if I dance.
Blue Mountain, their owners have bought Liverpool FC in the discount bin, because the other owners went bankrupt and have a huge worldwide fan base for income. It's not the same. No,
good point.
I agree. I do agree with that. What else have we got? So let's pick out some comments from the chat. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll ask you. What do you think the lineup's going to be? Let's spin this around the room. Shan, who's Conte's lineup going to be? And I'm not talking for the Europa Conference. Let's go. Let's talk about the weekend game.
Oh God.
Everton.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Hugo in goal.
Yeah.
Back
That's easy.
three. Back three. I would like to see Sanchez, Romero, and either Dyer or Roden. I know Pulmia is going to say Roden at all
Always.
costs. Roden.
Always Roden.
But I'd like to see how I think it will be Dyer for his leadership. I do, just to have a little bit of experience in the back line. You're going to have Emerson and regulatory wing backs. I think them two pick themselves. We haven't really got anyone else that are any better at them at what they do, especially in that wing back position. I think the midfield is where it could get interesting.
Yep.
I reckon he might go all out and do Højbjerg and Dombele and Lo Celso in the free. Lo Celso on the left of the free, please. If you're going to play him anywhere, play him on the left of the free. And then you're going to have Son and Kane up top.
So what's that? A 5? Well, a 3.
3-5-2.
Brendan, any different views?
The only thing is Skip. Does he play in the central 5 or 4 with wing backs? Do we really need to have 2 defensive midfielders? Maybe it is one or the other. But yeah, other than that, and like I said, the team, our first 11 isn't that bad. Look, I mean, Son and Kane. Kane is a different story, but we've got really good what will be wing backs or full backs. A solid base in midfield, good central defenders, one of the best goalies in the world. There's lots there to play with. But yeah, in terms of the lineup, very similar to Shan. Just the only question is, do we play the double defensive pivot, or do we go with just one of them?
I think
John?
for back three, we should just do one. Otherwise, you just.
I think it comes down to, obviously at Chelsea he played a 3-4-3, didn't he? So we had 3 up top effectively. So it's whether he decides to play Son on the left, Kane, and either Bergwijn or Lucas. But given they don't really supply not a lot in goals, he may well go for the 3-5-2. And then, I can see Skip playing. I think he'll like Skip. Will he trust Lo Celso and Ndombele? I'm not sure. I guess it's down to what he sees in training the first week. But if you remember, was it his third game? He lost 3-0 away to Arsenal, and he started off with a back 4, didn't he, at Chelsea? And he just changed it, and he was rigid to the back 3, and that's when they went on that long run until we beat them in the January. There's a few people saying 3-5-2, a few saying 3-4-3, aren't there, in the chat?
There's lots of options with our squad. You can do either, and it will be, I think. You can get with the players we've got. You can mix it up, and you can change it to the personnel you want to play. Whether we play 3-4-3 in Europe and then a 3-5-2 in the league, he's got options with our squad. Our squad isn't as bad as it's made out to be. We've got decent players. It's just having them in the right positions. But we've all been saying since the beginning of the season to play 3 at the back. So it's easy to say that.
I think on Thursday we might see potentially the team we're going to see on Sunday, unless he decides he doesn't like something. I think he'll probably give it a go. If he's in tomorrow for training, which hopefully he might be, I think he could well play that. We need to play a strong team anyway because we've got to win the game. But I could see him playing potentially the team he wants to move forward with, how he sees it to start off with.
What do you think, Paul? If you can hear us now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I'm such a blip with like sorry, I'm sorry.
That's all right. What is the? Let's go into what you think Nuno's going to do first, because that's the question I've just asked the other guys. How are we going to line up? Not on Thursday, but at the weekend against Everton, is it, in the Premier League, who've just lost tonight to Wolves, I think. What do you think? What do you think Conte's going to do?
He's going to bring in a 3 at the back. He's going to put Romero, Joe Rodon, and he's going to put Tanganga in there. And then wing backs. The wing backs are going to be Region, and they're going to be probably Royale. And then I think he'll stick with a double pivot because he stick with Matic and he stick with Conte at Chelsea, didn't he? But that was because Hazard was having one of those seasons, and then he had I think it was Pedro and somebody else on the other side as the other
Willian.
wide forward. Thank you, John William. And then he had Musa Dembele's favourite eye scratch mate up front. I think that's what. So I think he'll go with Kane, and he'll probably get a tune out of Kane. Kane probably won't. Well, unless he does go to City, which he might do. He hasn't worked with somebody of Conte's class before, so Kane might pick his ideas up and think, okay, I've got to get used to this. I've got to get used to these world class managers. I've pissed around for too long, and it's time to get the fans back on side because he's been terrible. I mean, I've kind of tried to defend him, but Man United, seeing him in the stadium, it was horrible. It was annoying for 45 minutes, and then it was heartbreaking. It was like, you're just not trying, mate. And I know Shan was there on Saturday, Saturday evening as well. Yeah, I really do hope that Kane now, if Conte does come in tomorrow and he takes and becomes our boss, that Kane just gets his fucking life together and just proves what a talent he is, and just stop this fucking around and this sulking and this, this kind of I can't be bothered, and and having midfielders shout at him and stuff. No one's ever done that before. Højbjerg in the game, I've seen it on Twitter. I'm trying to get recordings of it. Just absolutely bollocking Kane for not
Sonny
pressing.
as well.
Sonny as well at the weekend. They were arguing, weren't they, Shan? They were arguing.
Yeah, they're on the edge of the box, and you could see them literally waving their arms at each other. It was embarrassing.
So you've got these world-class talents, and they're just at each other. You need a Conte. With all due respect, Nuno doesn't have the authority, doesn't have the stature. He doesn't carry himself with that kind of gravity. But when Conte comes, it's going to be like kids. Like you fucking sort your life out. You sort your life and get on with it. And that's what I hope really happens. But many other things. That's what
I don't. Yeah, I haven't told my kid to sort of fucking life out yet. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
No. She is only. How old is your daughter? She's not that old yet, is she?
She's not quite 3. Yeah.
There you go.
Old enough to.
You wait until they're both old enough, caller. When they're like in their teens.
Yeah.
That's when it will happen.
Yeah, tell me about it. And Paul, what's your general feeling? What Nuno? Do you think he's been harshly treated?
Yeah, I do. I understand he was 5th, 6th choice. I got the point what Dave was saying earlier about the choices that didn't want to come for whatever reason. I'll take your point as well that we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know, the ins and outs and the deal making, etc., etc. But Nuno was a dead man walking, as far as I can see. I disagree with what you guys are saying about the first 3 games. The league doesn't happen in a vacuum. You can only play what's in front of you. You're only in the table because of other people's results as well. If you fluke a 1-0 and that takes you to second, so be it. Okay, we had he became manager of the month. We didn't concede anything. We were three on the spin, and then it just all went wrong for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I think he should be given time to try and turn it around, especially with winnable games coming up. Everton just got done tonight by Wolves. We've got Vitesse, which we have to win. And then we've got Leeds coming up. I know Leeds won at the weekend. They might be turning it around. But there's and then obviously the international schedule. He had time to work with these players. You might think that already the signs were there. You can quote me all the SG facts that you want, okay? But Liverpool had a dip. They lost their home record. Pep's had a dip. I know these are different clubs, but form is up and down. It's just not like add 2 and 2 together and get 4. You have to realise that you're working with talent, and talent is managing. And sometimes you manage to get it right, and sometimes you manage to get it wrong. But they need time. They need time to work with these players. He's had 10 league games. I just think it was a bit too soon. I know the signs were there. I know Daniel and Enoch and Paratici probably, he was available. Let's go for it. But I just think it. So what happens if it doesn't work out with Conte? Conte gets off an absolute shocker before now and Christmas. What do we do? What do we do?
Well,
You set a precedent. You set a precedent. I know he's a world class man, but so you can't. You treat one manager and you just discard him aside like you don't need him, which we've done. It hasn't
with
worked
4
out.
million, with 4 million quid, to be fair. Crimea River.
Oh, okay. Then if it's down to money, then you can't argue with that. But there's ways of treating managers, and you set a precedent for one, and now another one comes in. If he doesn't, if he doesn't, buck his ideas up and makes us. If we're not in the top 4 by Christmas, or we lose 3 or 4 games from the spin, or he doesn't get the players he wants in January and it doesn't work out the way he wants, does he go after 6 months? Do we become what? Yeah. Owen, do we become Watford? Do we keep changing it and hopefully the combination becomes right? Is that what we do now? We're not a DNA club. We're buying now. Okay, for success now. The DNA and what Daniel said at the end of the last season in the program, that doesn't count anymore. He's at clubs for 2 years. He's going to sign big money players for the next. That's what he wants. It's war chest. What happens if those players are still with us in 2.5, 3 years on big money and Conte's gone? I know it's a lot of what ifs and buts, but there's a lot of warning signs.
Yeah, we bring in Poch.
18 months he's done at PSG. Bring him in. Sorted.
I mean, this is a good point. Gav brings up Arteta had a worse record than Nuno in multiple patches, but kept his job. For me, Paul, honestly, it was the body language. It was the lack of it. And maybe there was all this stuff going on behind the scenes and Nuno picked up on it, but he just didn't look like he wanted to be there. And I know, like,
right, what was the body language, Joey? What body language? Arms closed, arms folded.
Just negative body language. Yeah, arms closed on the touchline.
These are professional elite. But Brett, they're elite athletes. Okay, they don't need someone screaming at them 24/7. You don't. Yeah, they know their jobs. The captain probably taught. The senior members of the squad. Just because your manager's not shouting, but he probably, it's his style. We knew what we were getting. That's his style. You can't use that against him now, guys. You can't.
Well, I think we can to a certain point. I think I said on the pods with you and Franco that sometimes a team can be a reflection of the manager. So Nuno just looked miserable. He looked miserable. He's all hunched over, arms folded. He just looked miserable, and he spoke, and he was miserable. And maybe there's reasons for that. Maybe, as we said earlier, there was discussions going on behind the scenes. He's not stupid. He knows that Paratici and Conte, he's probably WhatsApping Conte all the time, and that probably got to him. But you look at how we were playing. The plays, it was just dull. The football wasn't great, man. And I know I fully get you. I was sort of, I don't want us to be Watford or Chelsea but I think that we made the mistake hiring him in the first place. It wasn't the right fit. It was the wrong man or the right man at the wrong time, maybe. But the decision had to be made. And if we get Conte in and we start playing in his style, this sort of intense. You see what he's like on the touchline. He's really intense. He's like he's playing the game as if he was one of the players, and the aggression, all these things. I think that a lot of that does come from the manager, and we weren't seeing it from him, and the players weren't seeing it from the players either. So.
I would say that those players are experienced. Go on,
sorry.
Shan.
I just think if it looks like your manager don't care on the sidelines and he's got nothing to say, what precedent does that send to the players? Like. I'll flip it another way. Maybe he believes that they know their roles and what they should be doing, and there's enough international quality on that field to know and to let them kind of like sort it out themselves. And he does what he does in the 15 minutes half time and on a training pitch and stuff like that. And he just allows the players to it's almost like, we've drilled this into you. There's no point in me like screaming at. Once you go over the white line, it's down to you. And maybe that's his style.
He did that at Wolves, though. He was shouting at Wolves. Like, they loved him there. He was all animated there. Just at Spurs, he hasn't been. I don't know why he decided to change his manners when he joined us. I think there is something in it.
Do you think it's the stature of the players? Obviously, it's a different type of player at Spurs than it is at Wolves. Do you think it's the egos that have affected him? And obviously, some of the names in our squad are potentially bigger names than Nuno, and that's got to him. And I think that could be a big part of it. That's why you need a Conte. You think when Poch came in, we didn't have those type of players.
I think you've touched on a really good point now. I think maybe that he's not used to dealing with those kind of characters, and there might, I don't care what you say, Lloris, Højbjerg, Son is an absolute international superstar. Kane is, he's probably one of the top 4, 5, 6 strikers on his day, and maybe you're right. You touch on it, and maybe he doesn't have the experience with that. But they've also got to I think there's also there must be an understanding from the players that you've got to park that ego. And I think to be successful, like people like Kane and Son, you are used to that. Lloris must be very used to that. Like, he's in a team full of superstars, at French level, and he can captain those egos. So I believe that you touched on a good point about him being maybe a little bit overawed and stuff, but you still like to think that the players are professional enough not to let them to let their egos override and get what they want, and all disharmony and things like that. And but some of these players got rid of the manager before, your Dele Allis and your people like this, and they didn't turn up for Mourinho, bar a couple of games at the beginning of his tenure, and also they kind of stopped working hard for Poch for in that last kind of 18, certainly post Champions League. So maybe there is the 21st century multi-million-pound, kind of early 20s footballer. Maybe he just needs a bit more of a carrot and an arm around the shoulder than a stick, and that's what I worry about Antonio as well. About Conte as well, is that maybe it's too harsh. But a lot of people can identify with that because they see these kind of prima donna footballers and they think they get an easy ride. And it is annoying to see Tanguy Ndombele come on in 20 minutes at Man U and just float around and do nothing. And you're thinking, why are you deserving of what you do with the riches that come with it and the profile that comes with it if you're not going to try? And maybe a lot of fans will get behind Conte. They just want to see the players put in a shift. That's why Lamela was loved by so many people, I think, because he just, he outwardly can be seen as trying, and we can identify with that. We can't identify with the skills that they do, but we can identify with the effort that they give and they produce. And hopefully we'll see a bit more of that under Conte. But I think you touched on a good point, Shan, about that, maybe some of those kind of personality egos and the kind of individuals in that dressing room might have overawed Nuno a little bit. That's a good point. I'll take that on board. Yeah.
I think.
There's a lot of loud characters.
Sorry, John. Did you want to say something, John?
Yeah. Just a couple of things, Paul. Yeah, I think you're catching up on a couple of years worth of YouTube there, Paul, aren't you? Having not been on there before. I think.
Sorry.
That's right. I think the thing, and obviously HG's not here, so someone needs to talk. I think.
We're going to sell tickets from HG on YouTube, aren't we?
I think
you said sorting out a pay-per-view for me and HG on YouTube.
Krypton Factor, isn't it? I think we're going to have.
Now, ladies. Come on.
Anyway, my point is, you said about the place should just be going out and get on with it. Well, Mourinho tried that and it didn't work, did it? So if that's the way he is, clearly it wasn't the right appointment. My biggest thing was he looked like he had no clue how to turn them around. He just looked at, perception's such a big thing, and he didn't appear to have a clue. And the subs on Saturday were just a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Why bring Dele on?
I mean, Shan, I think Shan mentioned it the other night on YouTube. I don't think I've ever heard a response to the Lucas to Bergwijn 60 minutes. I couldn't believe the booing, even around me. And that I sit in quite a nice posh bit, kind of executive bit. Even some of the guys around me were up on their feet and literally expletives left, right, and centre. It was not the right sub. So I hear what you're saying, John. Yeah, I mean, Dele's done. I think it's Spurs. I just think, I think he's a one-trick pony. I've said it before in our Patreon chat. I believe that he needs to go somewhere else to resurrect his career and hopefully resurrect his love for the game, because I don't believe his best days are at Spurs anymore. That's what I believe. What was the other sub? Oh yeah, Tanguy for Skip. I had no problem with Tanguy coming on and playing a bit deeper, because I think we were trying to progress the ball a bit quicker, etc. But he just didn't get the ball. At that point as well, United had brought on they brought on they Ronaldo, they packed the midfield. McTominay and Fred had a decent game at the weekend. They screened really, really well. And then with Matic coming on, that it was very, very hard for Tanguy to get hold of the ball and just try and progress it forward. So I could see what Nuno was trying to do on Saturday evening, but it didn't work. So I'm not going to ball him out for the subs. I don't think he can. He tried. He had, Hill was out with a hamstring that he got at Europe. I think he only did what he could do. I just think we bollock him for not making subs 89th minute. And when he does roll the dice, it didn't work. What would you have done in his position? Maybe HG, if you can put something in a comment or whatever. But what would you have done, John, with those subs?
I would have brought Reguilon on so we can get down the wing, because that's the problem. Davis can't get down the wing. We would have all started Reguilon, wouldn't we?
That's a sackable offence on its own, and it's starting.
Yeah,
that was a very, very weird decision to play Davis. I don't know. I'd love to know what that conversation was when he hooked Reggie the game before the previous game, and then a little bit of a conversation on the touchline. Reggie looked far from pleased. I'd like to know what that was about, and I think HG's talking bullshit about Real Madrid, but that's my point of view. I just think that Davis was a very, very weird decision to start against Man U. So I hear what you said, but sorry, carry on, John. Sorry.
Yeah, I think if anything, if that was the game to start with 5 at the back, obviously we didn't know they would start with 5 at the back. But with their front line and their movement, we needed guys who could defend. And with playing a back 4, they were just, the movement of Cavani and Ronaldo, we know is excellent. So you had to have people who were switched on. And we saw that with the first goal, didn't we?
It's just a great goal, John. Just a great goal.
Yeah.
That ball. He plays that 9. Reggie's not cutting that ball out, John. Reggie is not cutting that ball out. That is a pinpoint, world-class assist and finish. It just gets better all the time. I don't think you can blame that on a defender. I really don't.
If we say play the back 3, would a left-sided centre-back got that, though?
I mean, that's the chaos theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think
I'm not trying to be awkward. I'm just thinking
that
first goal was just excellent play all round. But yeah, I mean,
the thing is, Paul,
you're probably right. There probably would be a taller player there. Probably that taller player might have got an eyebrows or like a little head on it, and it might have gone out for a corner, and Ronaldo wouldn't have got the volley on it. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. If there's a left-sided centre back there, you're probably right. A taller player probably would have got a head in it, and it would have gone out. Yeah,
Davis does play centre back for Wales, though.
That's
play
true.
devil's advocate. So maybe his position.
But we do have another very, very good Welsh centre back, but we won't go into that right now.
You never mentioned him.
You're right in what you're saying. For me, I think that that was a fantastic ball, fantastic finish. Yeah. I don't think most people will be near that, to be honest. But having said that, he could have been a lot tighter to Ronaldo. And if you watch it, you watch the way that situation occurs and starts, there's problems all over the pitch with closing down, and that's a theme we've seen all over really. But Davis offered nothing going forward defensively. I thought was weak. I mean, for me, it's just a very, like you say, it's an incredibly strange decision. But I don't think there's anyone in the cheese room who would say Davis should probably not be with Spurs. I think we should be aiming a little bit higher than that, but it's going to take another window to move some of these players out, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think so. I think if Conte comes in, which it looks like, well, I've just had a quick look at Twitter there, he seems to be like almost pretty much done. This window, Paratici can't afford to drop the ball in.
No.
The pressure's on Paratici. The pressure is on Paratici. He dropped the... Yeah. I mean, to get that guy in to know the turmoil was coming to, and he handled himself very well with the Kane situation pre-season. But Paratici made a mistake. I think that mistake's on. I think the Nuno appointment is down to Paratici. He's dropped the ball there. If he fucks up again this window, you've got to think that's got to be man. That's got to be. Sorry, Brent, carry on.
Sorry, going on sideways here. I think Gattuso was his first choice, and Fonseca there was question marks over his playing style. But I don't think Nuno was his first choice. It was his choice in the end. I don't think the club was looking at Nuno in the first place. But I don't think that Nuno was his first choice. I think it was Conte, and then when Conte wasn't happening, Gattuso, there was a big uproar because of some of the comments that he's made in the past. And so we went for Nuno. It's all history now. It's done. But it was strange to see him completely fuck up his first major decision, which was finding the manager. Let's just hope that he's rectified it now.
Yeah, I think that what we can say is whatever the rights and wrongs of Nuno going, I think everyone's got to be quite excited about Conte coming in. Paul, are you excited about Conte coming in? Do you think I know it might be a bit short-termism, but he's a winner, isn't he? He's won everything.
I do. There are red flags for me. He sticks around for maybe 2-3 seasons. He's a buying manager. I like seeing guys come through. You know what I've done with a coach, I'm a trainer. I like making people better. I hope he does that. I hope he just doesn't like jettison again. Sorry, Seb, third time in 3 pods. I've said that one. I hope he keeps faith with people like Skip. I hope Scarlett continues to try. I know he's not shown a lot, but there's opportunities for development there. I hope he just doesn't come in and buy or bring in 6 or 7 players and our good youth have to go elsewhere. That's a major red flag. To be fair, Paul, Conte has improved players, I would say, everywhere he's been. Maybe not brought youth through so much, but if you look at Lukaku, different player to the one that left England. If you look at Victor Moses, played at right back, so he does seem to be able to maximise and get more out of what he's got, which is, for me, really important because our squad is talented, just, not performing. I tell you what I really did like at Chelsea. He got rid of Terry, and he got rid of Branovich as well, and he brought in the back 3, which was David Luiz, Azpilicueta played, and then obviously Cahill played. He's not afraid to make big decisions like that. So if Celia's watching, I'm sorry about this right now, but if you cut somebody like Dyer out, you kind of feel have been there quite a while, kind of these big personalities in the club. I think that's quite exciting. I think he's not going to be afraid, is he, of upsetting some fragile egos, and I'm excited about that. He could be the broom that we need, but I hope he doesn't. Hope that the youth that we see every now and then, Makalande, your Scarlett, Skips come through as well. I hope they still get a chance to be with us, and they don't have to go out on loan. That's what I'm a bit concerned about. I'm concerned about also the big money that's supposedly there in his war chest. When he goes, we're left with those players on probably another 2 years of their deal on big money. We're not great from our past history about getting rid of such players. There's a couple of red flags for me, but you can't help but be excited. He's elite. He's elite level. He's Klopp. He's Pep level. He's Tuchel level. Yeah, of course you can't help but be excited, but there are caveats there for me as well.
Shan, do you want to take that one?
With a mentality like Conte, it'll be both.
Yeah. Why would you not, right?
Exactly. I think his prime objective at the top 4 is rescuable. If we've got a decent run of games coming up now, we've got a good squad. If he can get the best out of that squad, there's no reason why we can't do something and get into the top 4 by Christmas. Add a few. We know we need players in January. Let's not beat around the bush. Add a couple of players in January. Keep going. There's no reason we can't win both.
No, and the cups are up for grabs, aren't they? FA Cup hadn't even started yet. League Cup win the last 8. So
I'm not scared of West Ham in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup.
I'm not now. I'm buzzing.
I'm buzzing with Conte. I think we'll smash them. Fucking come Spurs. I was scared.
Sorry,
I was
mate.
scared of West Ham with Nuno, but I'm not scared of him anymore. And that is what elite brings you. You know he's not gonna fuck up. Well, you hope he's not gonna fuck up. History will tell you he's not gonna fuck up. So yeah.
What I'm going to say is, Holly, sorry I'm late, waiting for Harry Wink's comment. Holly, what I'm going to say is go 310 people, 312 people now watching. Get over to Holly's channel, catch her show earlier on this evening. It was brilliant. I'm sure you can catch a replay on it. I think she had Graham Roberts, Abby Summers on there, and herself. Really good show. Here's your Harry Wink's comment. Holly, we need someone to put the cones out for Conte, so he will still be
the water bottles.
The water bottles as well. Can't stand Harry Winks, as you well know.
Hemel Hempstead's Iniesta.
Hemel Hempstead's Iniesta. Yeah, Christ Almighty, we are desperate. Conte to win, goes to win everything. A winning mentality. I think the fable is, I don't think that anyone particularly doesn't want to win everything. I don't think Nuno's not got a winning mentality. I think if you're an elite level manager, Premier League, you probably do want to win everything. But I think Conte's just bloody good at it. Paul, you had your hand up.
Can I just ask, how long do you think it will take with the squad of players at the moment and their confidence levels and their kind of playing ability or the level they're playing at, that winning mentality will take? How long do you think?
John?
It's not going to be straight away, isn't it? I think we might get a bit of a manager bounce in the first couple of games, but it's going to take a while. And in January, like we said, we need some players in. But what we need is players in the beginning of January, not at the end of January. We need stuff lined up, which hopefully Paratici will have. It's going to be hard to tell, really, isn't it? Depends how much of a mindset, how he can change it. He's obviously done it before, hasn't he? He's gone into clubs. Has he gone into clubs mid-season before? I've not looked into him that much. Caller?
I don't think so. But
right, okay.
Let me tell you our next few fixtures, because we've got quite a nice run of fixtures now. So Everton away, they're in terrible form. Leeds at home, in poor form. Burnley away, we know we can win there. Brentford at home, tricky, but at home, I'd fancy us. Norwich at home. Brighton away, again tricky but not unwinnable. Leicester away, very patchy. And then we're at the 19th of December, Liverpool at home, which obviously is massive. But out of those games, if we can have that little bit of new manager bounce, there's no reason why we can't go on a good run and be in the mix, isn't there, Brendan?
Yeah, I still think, top four, we should be aiming for that with the players that we have. We're not too far off the pace, but was it 5 points off fourth? I think 5 off third. So obviously the league itself is a distant memory, but yeah, we can do it. Like getting in, as Shan was saying, the elite manager. We have elite players. He's going to give them a kick up the arse that they need. I watched Alistair Gold's recent video, and again with Nuno, there was loads of complaining from the players through their intermediaries about his training methods, about preparation for games. But he barely had a chance. There was an international break every other bloody weekend, and we had midweek games that wasn't enough time for him to implement what he wanted. But anyway, with Conte, he's going to want top four. He is a Champions League manager, so it's on and it's exciting.
Sham?
I'm seeing that Sky Sports have said it's done.
Sky Sports
in Italy. In Italy, yeah.
Oh, it's Sky Italy, yeah.
Sky Sports in Italy, but they've been reporting it from obviously the beginning. So, yeah, I think we all know it's done, don't we? We're just waiting for the official announcement. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm just happy that I can go to the stadium again, and my self-imposed ban is over.
It lasted 24 hours, Shan. All of a sudden, you're telling me 75 quid's reasonable for a ticket again.
Oh no, I still don't think it's reasonable, but I'm more happy to pay it when I'm going there, and I don't think we're just going to get completely turned over every single game. And you've got players arguing with each other on the pitch, men spitting on your face from behind, people it was a horrible experience. But yeah, no, definitely excited to get back to the stadium now. I feel a lot more positive about where our season's going. It's amazing what a name and a personality does I think I've never seen Spurs Twitter so happy. And even Brian Daigle is getting a tattoo because he was like, nah, Conte isn't coming to Spurs. You're all deluded. If he comes to Spurs, I'll get a tattoo. And he's booked it. He's booked the tattoo.
What tattoos are you getting?
Oh, he said, oh, I can't remember.
I love Levy.
I doubt it's that.
Love you, Brian.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. He said he'd get like "We Are Tottenham" TV tattooed on his face. I don't think he's getting it on his face, but yeah, it's united everyone. Even I mean, there's still a few Levy outers that are saying, "Well, why didn't we just do this in the summer?" Which is understandable. We've wasted 4 or 5 months.
That's a fair point.
But I think everyone is unanimously, well, most people. I've seen a couple in the comments that don't want Conte, but I think 99% of the fan base is united in being excited by this right now, and it's showing a level of intent as well. This is where we want Spurs to be. I know you hate it, Caller, but we deserve this as fans. We all deserve this moment as Spurs fans. We've had to go through enough. We deserve some joy.
You try being a Telford United fan, I tell you, that was rough. Kerry King says, I just want to see the players, getting on with each other again. Yeah, get the fans getting on together would be nice too, wouldn't it, Paul? But the players getting on together, the team spirit is just not there at the moment, or it seems it's certainly not like it was like under Pochettino at our peak. I guess a lot of that is obviously explainable through results, but there's cracks, isn't there, in the team? It certainly seems.
I think Winks is little kind of his interview saying that he was worried about a 2-tier system in the squad, or I'm probably really badly paraphrasing there. I think that said quite a lot. A couple of things there. One, it was quite clear that was beginning to kind of happen, and two, for someone to come out like break ranks, put their head above the parapet, whatever the saying you want to use, and come out in the press and say that as well. So yeah, there were cracks, as Shan said. Both herself and I saw Son and Kane probably our two best players screaming at each other, and then there'll be what we talked about many times about Højbjerg balling out Kane as well. Yeah, I think a bit more unity and a bit more kind of like happy social media, like how the Spurs social media likes, picture really smiling and hugging, and kind of Son doing forward rolls and stuff like that. It would just be nice to see a bit more joy coming from the players, and if they're happy, they express themselves, and that becomes a better kind of a better feeling all around. Yeah, I mean, I had a chat with, just quickly. So last thing, I had a chat with someone at the game, and they just said, "Look, I don't mind losing. I don't, Paul. I want to see us to compete, and I want to see us to try and do the basics well." And unfortunately, end of Pochettino, last couple of games of Mourinho, and certainly Newcastle aside, those things weren't happening. So, I'm totally behind that. And hopefully Conte can bring that back in and get the basics right and just get them happy and working hard for each other. Because, hard work beats talent when talent just doesn't want to work hard. Yeah, that's just the way it is. So, yeah. Let's hope that they all start getting on well with each other again and expressing themselves much better.
Can we just say we may not have a trophy in our cabinet, but we won El Sakaco. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you. Thank you for giving us Conte, you legend. We hope you stay a little bit longer.
Kohler didn't believe it was going to happen either.
I didn't. This is a fair comment. I wasn't Nuno out, but no one can doubt that Tottenham mean business with the appointment of Conte. I do think this is a positive for change. I want to see top players arriving at. And look, there's a real good feel-good factor around the place. Certainly, social media at the moment has never been happier in recent times. So let's hope this is the beginning of something fantastic. We've been going for an hour and 44 minutes, so I'm going to draw a line in the sand there. John, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me on again.
Paul, pleasure. Thanks for popping by, making your YouTube debut.
Yeah, this will be me just coming to the subs bench for like a fleeting kind of Tom Gay 20 minutes, and then I won't be doing this again because, as you can see, my spare room doesn't have the lighting for this. So, but thank you for having me on. Thank you very much.
It looks beautiful, mate. It looks
call
beautiful.
Call up. Just keep up the really you and Shan and the guys. It's as someone who probably does the pods a lot more than I'll do this. You're doing really well. So well done, all of you involved. Really good. Well done.
Thank you very much, mate. Brent, thanks for joining. Mate, on in from Brazil.
Mate, always a pleasure. It was a big day. And yeah, a bit of positivity going. No one likes to see anyone lose their job, but we're getting Antonio fucking Conte. So let's have it. Come on, up the Spurs.
Let's have it. Shan, as ever. Shan show Wednesday night. It's going to be really positive and upbeat now, isn't it? Christ.
It's going to be nice, isn't it? Hopefully we'll have obviously signed Conte and we'll be talking about it confirmed. We'll be getting excited about the lineup for the Vitesse game. Yeah, I definitely feel a lot better about this week's Shan show than I have previous. Watch-alongs might not be so bad now either.
Oh, now we want the watch-alongs. She's going to be doing Wednesday night, Thursday night, Sunday.
It's all changed now, Shan.
Yeah.
Look at Shan. Shan's like, I'm all over it.
Watch-alongs under Nuno were the worst thing going. It all started with the Crystal Palace game. It just was bad vibes from there. But now we've got Vamos.
She's, to quote an old Jollyism, she's buzzing like a bee on crystal meth. And until next time, come on, you Spurs. Please do subscribe, like, share. See you soon.
Come on, you Spurs.